So welcome back to the program. This morning we're joined by Gloria Tor. She's done a lot of work as far as mental health advocacy is concerned and assisting people who have mental health issues. She's joined us this morning as we are looking at this topic. We're looking at mental health and understanding mental health issues. A very good morning to you, Gloria.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning. Good morning, Sadia.
All right. So, so tell us about how important is people understanding mental health, because what I hear a lot is just mental health. Don't mess with my mental health.
Don't mess with my mental health. All right, I'm going to bring it down to a layman's language. You know, when you hear the word mental health, so many people perceive mental health as someone who is mad. We need to change that perspective as individuals. There's a big difference between mental health and mental illness. Mental health, everybody has it. Is the psychological well-being of a human being and also how your brain reacts. So that's why I said everybody has mental health. But for mental illness, it's more like a diagnosis from a medical doctor or maybe a therapist and all. So that's the two difference between mental health and mental illness. And examples of mental illness like depression, anxiety, and the rest of it, bipolar. That is a very good example of mental illness.
All right,
So we have a lot of people now, Gen Z. Let me just use that word Gen Z because they testify, they attest to that they are Gen Z. They say, now if I'm to pick your phone now, please don't touch my phone. I don't want to have mental health. Everything is wrapped around mental health. Okay. In their own language, what does mental health really mean? Because we don't understand. You hear person, please lend me 2-5 there. No, please, I don't want to lend you money because of my mental health. Yes.
I made mention of mental health is the psychological well-being of an individual, right? Depression could also be one of the symptoms, right? So I'll give an example. Last year I lost my mom and I knew how it was draining. I ran into depression, and also some of my family members, especially her loved ones, I wouldn't want to mention everything you get. So sometimes it's when you hear the word mental health, people overuse it, they misuse it. Let's use that word, right? So it's just like the way your brain reacts, the way your brain feels. It's okay to always feel drained. That's why I give example of this phone. Like when a phone is being worked out, it needs to charge, right? That is how a human being is. If you're being worked out, your mental health is at stake. You need to rest. You need to take a break. I know most of us here are workaholics, but we need it because by the time you break down, by the time your mental health, yes, it's at stake. Right. So that's the simplest way I can expatiate it.
All right. Sorry for the loss of your mom.
Thank you so
much.
Now,
how do one manage depression?
Well, for me, what worked out? I would say there are 3 things, right? First, you speak up, you speak to someone. Secondly, you rest. The third, do what makes you happy. Those 3 things worked for me on how to manage depression. Like when I was going through my try moment last year, it wasn't an easy one. Me being the first child, the workload she has dropped for me, the younger siblings, the infants I have to take care of. It was a lot on me. So for the aspect of speaking out, you need a therapist. You need someone to talk to that will be able to talk you out of that moment. That's one way to manage depression. The second one, do what makes you happy. Like art makes me happy as an individual. So whenever I see anything that is artistic, I'm fulfilled. Then also, I love community development service. He knows me so well. I've done a whole lot. Like even my birthday for April, what I did was like, you know what, girl? I'm going to spend it with special needs children because they neglect them in the society. They feel, oh, children living with autism, dyslexia, they should be pitied. No. Rather, they should show love to them. So just look for what fits into you that makes you happy. Then sleep when necessary. Not like because I said sleep now. Every moment you now look for how to sleep.
What about those? What about those that would go into drugs because of depression? Depression will lead them into drugs, or some group of persons will just advise them to please take drugs, like hard drugs. I
understand. Well, I wouldn't advise you to go into drugs because of depression, no matter how the situation might be. The best way is just to speak out. You know, there's this word that says, a closed mouth is a closed destiny, right? So it's always good as an individual, you speak out whenever you feel that way. But for those who are already in it, it is difficult to bring them out. That's why you find out that you see some people are going into rehabilitation homes, whereby you see sometimes when the situation is so worse, you see them tying them and all, which is a wrong method of caring for these people. Like the last time I had a conversation on this, we had especially someone who is an expert in this field. He has a rehabilitation home, and he said there's a case of someone that has been in this situation for 24 years, and how the parents were able to handle that situation was very, very wrong, in the extent that they looked for chains to tie him and all. And when they brought him to the rehabilitation center, there was change. He was able to care for him, show him love, speak out to him, make sure he brings, like, whenever they're conversing, he brings in situations like, oh, can you remember what happened? Like, just try to talk him in. Some will be like, I am mad. He'll be like, no, you are not mad. It is what you took that is making you behave this way. So I feel the best way, let's just sum it up to just speak out.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so I'd like to ask, I know that this year you are holding a mental health seminar, and for a young person your age who would like to ask why you'd have bought shawarma with the money you had.
Why shawarma?
Or something else.
Since you love shawarma.
Why shawarma?
I don't know, Sadi, at the time. So what inspired you?
Okay, like, what actually inspired me was from my experience, right? You know, this is not the first edition, this is 2.0. So the first one was from my experience. We had the first edition, Breaking the Silence. We find out that mental health now, the way it is now, 10 years ago, if you look back, there's a big difference. Like, people are now speaking out, right? So we had Break the Silence. Well, this year's edition, it's Seen, Heard, Held, Never Walk Alone. And I looked at it that, okay, since I've experienced depression, I feel it's not just about talking. We need practical examples. So this year's edition, what makes it very different is from last year is we're bringing in medical practitioner. In fact, there's a doctor who is flying in tomorrow for this event from Lagos. There's also another person who is a mental health counselor. There's another person who is a mental health advocate. We want real life practical experiences because so many people have been anticipating to listen to what this set of people have to say. So we want a room that people can converse, ask questions, and not just talking. We even have someone who has a real life story to share with everyone in the room.
All right, so I'd just like to add to that. We have lots of, if you go on Twitter space, you see lots of mental health stuff. So what is different and what gap are you feeling? Is it something different that you're doing more than what others have done, or what others will be?
I wouldn't say there's something different, right? I would say access and language. now access. I'm giving everyone in the room an access to these people that I mentioned who will be coming. Then language, the way the message is being passed, right? And we're also going to do a follow-up in situations that, okay, if you have an issue, this is a room where you're coming to, you are not going to be laughed at, everybody is included. In fact, the interesting part is we have people who are physically challenged who would be special guests and also on the panel section.
I have somebody for you.
Oh, thank you so much. So we're making it inclusive for all. So like I said, access and language. That is different. We are going to be bringing this time.
So do I have mental health issues? I do. With the Nigerian
We all have our mental health. Please do one, sorry, don't stress my mental health.
I would say, when we look at the Nigerian media space, do you think the media has done enough in sensitizing and talking about mental health issues?
Well, I would say the media is trying, because I wouldn't want to. I'm also in the media, and this is me saying kudos to us, because, like I said, 10 years ago is different from now. So the issue of we reporting these issues and making it accessible to all, that's why there's also what we have the convention, aside from the conventional media, there's what we call social media, and it's accessible to all. So the media is doing a whole lot to sensitize the public on mental health. And I love the fact that this year is a mental health month for men, whereby we are prioritizing the men's mental health. We find out that men are very hardened people, in the sense that, please don't get me wrong, in the sense that whenever they go through situations, they keep quiet, they keep it to themselves. That's why I said they are hardened people. They will not want to share, they just want to pass that face alone.
I used to share with you.
Not all men, some men, but majority, you get. So, and there are some men that you say that no matter how tough the situation might be, they will not want to speak out. That's why you find out that it's statistics has it that most men go into suicide and all, which is why it is good we prioritize the mental health of a man, just like the way we are having mental health for women and for everybody. Like, in November, in October now, it's for everybody. But I actually love the fact that the mental health is being prioritized for men in the month of June, which is something that, yes, if you go on every social media space, you'll see that everybody is talking about it, and it's a good one.
Sadia?
For me, so men, how would you advise men who are going through mental health challenge, apart from speaking up? Like you said we have some hard men, like they don't want to talk, they want to go pass through that phase alone until after everything before some of them will talk, and some of them will just prefer to, should I use the word,
suicide.
So what word of advice you have for those men, apart from speaking up?
Well, apart from speaking up, just know that you're not alone. Every phase that is difficult, definitely, as long as there's a beginning, there's an end to it. So I don't say that you committing suicide is enough reason if you cannot speak up as a man. Just like I said, aside from speaking up, look for what makes you happy. Look for how you can relieve yourself from such situations. Even if a lady, or like maybe some people, some men commit suicide due to they cannot withstand heartbreak, some due to pressure and all. That is not enough reason as a man to go into such acts. Just be yourself. Allow yourself to heal with time. Go out. Mingle with people. You would find out that with time, your mental health will begin to get its shape and get balance, right? So if you cannot speak out, you see this phone, there are lots of apps that you can help yourself also. If you cannot speak to a therapist, Like there's what we call telemedicine, whereby you have the phone at the comfort of your home to speak to a medical person from your phone, and the person would not even have to see your face. Some people are shy, they don't want their identity to be revealed. So if you cannot do that, this is another option for you as an individual. Just look for apps like that, right? And there's some other mental health apps also that could be of help. You could also read articles, you could watch movies that would help you shape your mental health.
All right. Absolutely. We've really, spoken to these issues as to how men can deal. But I'd like to ask, do mental health issues affect children too?
Yeah, it does. Like, I said mental health, everybody has a mental health.
Because when we were young, nobody cared about that.
Honestly, I'll also give an example of myself. I went to a military school where I love giving that story a lot. And that is one of the reasons that bettered my own organization, my own non-profit, right? I went to a military school whereby in my GS2, I repeated because of maths. I moved forward to SS1. In SS2, I fell sick. I was diagnosed of pneumonia. I was diagnosed of high fever, which affected
mental health.
The way I think, the way I do things. I started talking. This was not how I used to talk. I had to learn from the onset, like a baby, you get. And the people around me were not even helping issues. I became a mockery to them because the school has a rule that if you want to go to SS3, there's a joint promotion exam that you must pass. Be it you pass every other subject and you fail maths or English, you repeat. I remember I had repeated in GS2. And this school knew my own situation, that I just came back from the hospital. It wasn't even up to a month. And I was still trying to heal, to regain myself. If you had seen me that I was so skinny, sometimes when you don't go out and all, you just become white all of a sudden. Yes, because the sun doesn't touch you and all. Like breeze could blow me as of then. And the school knew my predicament at that time. So when we wrote the exams, we were 5 of us. And they said, all of you failed maths, but we'll give you another time, another opportunity to rewrite it. And when we rewrote it, I was still the only one that they called out on the assembly ground. Disgraced me in front of people. So you knew how it was to me at that time. At my whole mental health was at stake. But if not for the wisdom God gave to my parents, they chose peace over violence. Then they would have created something else. But what my parents did was, you know what? This thing is affecting this girl, because everybody, and I look to, everyone's coming to pity me. Hey, yeah, I hate that word. Like you're so honestly. So that was what happened to me at that point. And if not that my parents took a different direction by listening to the advice of some persons that meant good for me. What they did was simple. They changed my school to a different school. And that school, the same mathematics that I used to fail then, my WAEC one sitting, I passed that maths. My JAM, I was the second best. And my parents were like, so if you had left this girl, this is how this girl would just die in silence. So mental health affects children irrespective of your age. It depends on the situation that surrounds it. And I remember then I wasn't an adult. I was still a teenager as of then. So if you could do that to me, what about a little child whereby maybe for instance the mother has died and the dad decides to now marry a stepmother? And you know how some stepmothers can be in the society. Yes. So that stepmother now start maltreating this child, favoring her own child. Think of how it would be on that child's psychological well-being. So mental health affects everyone.
Right. So the last question from me: what impact do you hope to achieve this year with your mental health seminar. Of course, I'll be there. I will be there too.
Definitely, if you do not come, I will sanction you guys. All right, so I need two things, right? I need. There are two things I want to get: permission, and let me break the permission first. For permission, you do not need someone to give you the go-ahead, right, to speak out as an individual. So you coming into that room should have a different rethink, a different reset in your brain that, for me, if I find myself in such situations, I need no permission to do what I want to do, to speak to who I want to speak. Then for the other one, I'm still going to dwell on access, right? You're coming there, we're giving you access to people, utilize it. Do not just come like a normal seminar, to just come and sit and go. You should learn something from it. It should be a room of learning or learning and relearning as an individual. Then also, after the seminar, how are you going to implement it? That is the third one, implementation. You've gotten permission, you've had access. The important one, most importantly, implementation. After it, whatness. How do you hope to shape the society aside from speaking out? So that's what I hope to achieve.
Right. Thank you so much, Adia.
No, good.
Thank you so much for coming on the program. We
thank you so much for having me.
appreciate your zeal for mental health, and you have to talk to me because
You have mental health too. You're now a Gen Z. Please have mental health issues.
Oh, my mental health is a stick. I also read that, like, I'm also guilty. Like, before my mom passed out, me and so rest in peace. There was one time she was speaking to me, I was like, please, my mental health.
Okay.
my mental health is actually
until when I had the course, like I studied it for last semester, because I'm currently doing public health, and we have a compulsory course on mental health. That was when I got to realize that, this is deeper than what we do.
Don't touch my mental health. Alright, so let's go for a short break, and when we're back, the next segment will continue. Please stay with us.